Hi, I'm John Nord, and I'm going to show you how to make sterling silver sheets. Stay tuned. Okay, I start out with a 3-inch silica crucible, and the ingot I'm using is about 2 3/4 by 2 1/4. It's 3/16 thick, and I grease the inside of it so nothing will stick. And I got it up on some Firebricks. And I've got my borax handy. I've got a graphite rod to stir out the trash. And here's all my scrap I'm going to be using. And I make sure I use scrap with no solder on it. Anyway, I load the crucible up with the scrap silver. And you can weigh your silver out and match it to what goes in the ingot. But I just kind of know after doing this stuff how much I need in there. But this being a bunch of different pieces of scrap, I really don't know how much it's going to melt down to, so I'm going to melt it and see what it looks like. I'm using a rosebud this time. This is done several years ago, and now I just use a regular tip. At that time I was using a rosebud because I thought I needed all that heat. But you really don't. A regular tip on a torch will do just fine. If you've got some trash floating on top of your silver when you look at it, put a little borax in there and stir it with a graphite stick, and that trash that's in there will come to the surface and it will stick to that graphite rod, and then you get a clean puddle like you see there. It's pretty nice. But that's not quite enough silver. I'm going to put some more in it and heat it up again. There's nothing wrong with adding silver to a molted piece or puddle. So I'm just putting a little more in here. Heat it up again. You can see my crucible's got a set of tongs. That makes it real easy. And I've got a spout on there to pour it into the ingot with. And I've got everything pretty much fireproof around where I'm doing this. You want to make sure you're adhering to safety. You don't want to catch your shop on fire. I've got the ingot sitting on Firebricks, and one thing I want to say: be sure you preheat the ingot. I preheated it right before this, and then keep your flame on the crucible as you pour it into the ingot. Otherwise, you'll get a cold joint, and you can roll through the cold joint, but it's a lot nicer if you don't get a cold joint. So just keep that puddle hot as you pour it in there. Here I take the clamp off and kind of look at and open up the mold and look at the ingot. It looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of flare out on the bottom, but I can grind that off real easily. I use a 3M wheel, deburring wheel, to clean it up. And it makes for a nice piece of silver once you get it all cleaned up. But the real work is rolling it out on the mill. First thing we want to do is anneal it. I started annealing it here, and I really couldn't see the color. With annealing, you got to get it to a certain pink color. And so I think here in a minute I turn off the lights so I can see it a little better. It's so bright in here that with the outdoor light coming in, I couldn't see it. So I got it dark now, and I can see that pink color when I get it to the right amount. After this, I'll quench it in some water, and then I'll take it over to my mill. I usually spray it with some WD-40 to get the water off of it. This is a Durston mill. It's gear reduction, which makes it a lot easier, but it's still hard. This takes a lot of effort, a lot of shoulder work, and I just keep rolling it through and just taking down the thickness. Now, at this time, like I say, it was several years ago, I was only annealing it every 6-7 times through the mill, but I found out since then to anneal it every couple of times, because it keeps the curve out of it so much, and it makes it easier to roll. My mill, I can cross roll 3 1/4 inches. So as I go down with it, if it starts getting real wavy or curved, I'll start cross rolling it to keep that curve out of it. Here I am annealing it again. Like I say, if you'll anneal it every couple of times when you roll it through the mill, it'll work a lot better than every 6 or 7 times, which I was doing at this time. But you live and learn, so it works a lot better. And here I am spraying the WD-40 on there. WD-40 just keeps your mill wheels from getting rust on them, because when you're dipping it in water to cool it off or to quench it, you know, it's a lot. It picks up moisture, and I don't want that on my wheels. So I just spray it with the WD-40, and I keep rolling it through. I'm rolling it straight through, and I'm cross rolling it. When I get to about 3 1/4 inches on cross roll, I have to just start straight rolling it. And anyway, it's a lot of effort, especially if you're going down a 22 gauge. 18's not too bad, which is what I was doing in this video. And I mic it every once in a while to see what the gauge is. Here it is. I finished rolling it out, and it's got some curves in it. But what I'm going to do, or what I've done here, is I annealed it, because when you're working it with your jeweler saw, things like that, you don't want it in a hard state. So I annealed it, cooled it, and now it's ready to work, you know. But I think what I did here is I went ahead and cut it in half, and I cross-rolled it again, the 2 pieces again, because I thought it was just too wavy. But what I'm doing nowadays is I just leave it like this, and as I need a piece of jewelry out of it, I just cut off what I need, and then I cross-roll that if I need to get it straighter, and then re-anneal it. But back then, I was thinking that I need to get this straight now, not worry about it. So that's what I did here. I cut it in half, and I re-cross rolled it. But you can see I got 2 good pieces. Hey, this is a great way to use your scrap, and it's a lot better than buying silver at today's prices. You always got silver to work with if you'll save your scrap and roll it through the mill. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hey, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it.